Hey guys, it's been a little while since my last upload, but this year's been a little bit crazy, but I'm hoping to get back to a regular schedule again and uploading videos again. So this week's video is from my trip in Taiwan earlier at the start of this year, and this is in Yaomingshan National Park. This is just a bit north of Taipei City, and it's a geothermically active area, so there's hot pools and sulfur vents and volcanic area and all that kind of cool stuff. So this first area here, I'm beside these huge big sulfur vents, and there's this gas coming out of it, and it actually sounds a little bit like an airplane when you're there as well. Just the noise, quite a loud noise coming out of the vents. So I'm just walking up this little paved path here, and there's some bubbling water off to the left and the right, and there's quite a bit of heat coming off it. I thought it was quite interesting. And I'm just trying to explore this area and trying to find a good composition for these sulfur vents themselves. And I thought it would be quite a cool idea here to try and use the path itself as something to put things into perspective more. Because if you're just, say, standing right at the fence there, you'll get a shot of the vents, but it'd be hard to see the scale of them. They'll just sort of merge in with the landscape itself. But getting the path in the foreground, the line itself helps lead the eye up to the vents, but also puts things into a more human scale, because you can compare it with the path and the fence and things. So I'm just trying to. And I also took a second shot, very similar, just come down a little bit lower, trying to get the landscape at the back a bit more. I also took a quick little time lapse. I thought that would be quite cool just to show the vents there and the smoke coming out of it. This next little spot is a path walking through these dense bush forest area, and it's actually pretty close to where those vents are, just a little path off to the side. And it's just a different environment in this whole national park in general. Different spots you get like a mountainous area or quite a leafy dense area, and it's just a good variation overall. I thought this spot was quite cool because some of the path is quite dead straight. I thought that'd be an interesting shot of just getting a nice wide angle shot. I think I'm using the Sony lens here with a 17mm. That's how much I'm zoomed out, and I'm trying to get a nice shot with this. There's a few twigs in the path there, trying to get the detail off that with the lush green off to the sides. So as you're walking through this path, I'm trying to spot other ways to capture this area. And I thought this was quite a cool spot here because you can see just above the tree line there, you can see the mountainous area and a bit of smoke as well. And I thought that would be quite cool to get the sort of contrast with this quite structured and green area, and then off into the distance you can just see this huge mountains. So this next spot is up further into the park, because as you move through the park you go up higher into the mountains. So this is quite high up into the clouds themselves, as you can see. Got some low-lying misty cloudiness going on, and this area is called Milk Lake for obvious reasons, and this is actually some sulfur vents underneath that lake, and as they mix with the minerals in the lake it turns out a grey white type of colour. And also the lake itself is about 40 degrees Celsius from the vent in the lake bed itself. So I'm trying to get a nice sweeping panorama across the top there, because you get the backlight of the sky piercing through the mist, and also you have this lake in the foreground. So as we move back down through the park, we started going back down through a forest lush area, and there's this really nice waterfall here called Xuanxi Waterfall. And waterfalls I find are notoriously difficult to get a good composition, because they tend to be surrounded by quite lush dense vegetation, and that's typically quite a difficult one to sort of use the composition as a way to lead the eye, because it's all quite organic round shapes and it's all quite random. So I try and do a bit of a long exposure shot here to get that sort of smoothed out water of the waterfall itself, and that is the one part of the shot then that you can pops out because it's smoothed out with the long exposure, and it's also the white color is contrasting with all the green lush around it. So I'm just trying to mess around here and see what other kind of shots I can get. So I'm trying to use the water and the leaves, and the leaves themselves are quite interesting because of all the angles and the way they're going. They all have different shades of green, and it's a bit like a canvas of texture across the whole scene. And also you get a slight little bit of reflection on there's a little pool in the foreground, and it's bouncing off a little bit. So I'm just trying to mess around with different lengths of exposure and different focal lengths to try and play around with the composition a little bit. So I hope you liked this week's video, guys. I appreciate it if you liked the video, and subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Thanks.